A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Asheesh Srivastava, General Manager Training at GAIL India Limited. First, my thanks to Madam and the organizers of this program for inviting GAIL. Since Mr. Praveer Agrawal could not come, I have come. The minor difference is that the area of interest of Mr. Praveer Agrawal and myself is slightly different, because he was in marketing prior to coming to training, and I was in business development prior to coming to training. And prior to that, I have experience of commissioning of Dabhol LNG terminal. So during 2010 to 13, I was looking after operation and maintenance of that terminal, which was left over by Enron. And as you might have heard the story of that organization, Enron, they left the asset in India, and which was not commissioned. So the leftover asset was taken over by GAIL and NTPC in a joint venture company. And I got that privilege of commissioning of that plant because of some previous experience of having a training abroad in Tokyo Gas, Japan. So I got that opportunity to commission that plant. And I was fortunate that during my tenure, I got that plant commissioned. So it was a very nice experience over there. So primarily my area of expertise is into LNG, but since CBG is one of the business verticals which we are now doing in GAIL, so we are keeping a track how CBG is moving forward. And at the same time, we are okay with all kind of natural gas kind of business. It's not that competition is there, cutthroat competition is there. We are advocating for all the kind of things. And I'm in the cross-functional committee of the OISD 194, which deals with the standards of LNG. Now the future LNG terminals will be guided by those standards. So I'll not start from here. Any idea, maybe all of you are aware of the compressed natural gas and LNG, because I just want, or maybe I'll start from the second slide. Second one will set the context for this. So I'll not exactly start from the green one. I'll start from the natural gas. So natural gas is a bridging fuel in most, and is the most benign fuel next to green options. You agree with this? Okay. I'll tell why exactly it is, because with all facts and figures, which you may even check from the Google and all that. So first thing is that natural gas is a bridging fuel till the time we actually arrive at a green option or all the green options. So till the time natural gas continues to be a fuel there. And obviously we are not much focusing on oil and coal, which is significantly available in the energy basket of India. And the second line I have written as natural gas consumption is around 6.5%, which may be varying 6.7% or something like that, in India's total energy basket, which is to be increased by 15%. You are aware, must be aware of this. So this 6.5, say for example, coal is roughly close to 50%, oil is close to 30%, and there's 6.7% or something is the figure for natural gas. So we'll start from the fossil fuel, as a fossil fuel. So coal, oil, gas, three major components. So out of which coal is majorly used in India, though the coal quality within India is not so good, so that is how we import. The other one is then crude oil. Then crude oil dependency on import is very high, so that is to be substituted. Coal is to be substituted because of the environmental impact. Oil, both the reasons, one is impact, other is dependency. And then this figure also you may be aware, because when we are talking bridging fuel and subsequent transition to green, currently around 190 to 200 million standard cubic meter per day natural gas consumption is there for the country, of which half of the natural gas is imported as LNG. There's a graph at the bottom. So if you see 2025, it is just indicative, may not be precisely true because lots of versions come up. So half of that, out of the 200 MMSCMD gas, and how much quantity this can be, you can just visualize in terms of understanding how much this can be, in terms of the volume or in terms of the impact or in terms of the size, how to handle it. So a fertilizer plant typically runs on 2 MMSCMD gas, or 3, or bigger plants maybe 3.5. So one fertilizer plant or a mid-sized power plant runs on 2 MMSCMD of gas. So all the industrial installations of the country, maybe around 100 installations are running because of 200 MMSCMD of gas. So half of this is indigenous production and half of this is imported. Now our import dependency on natural gas is also getting high. The reason is indigenous production is limited to a certain extent. Unless we get new findings, new reserves, it will be highly difficult. The other thing is that there are major countries like Turkmenistan and Iran. They are having natural gas reserves, big reserves they are having. Because of so many reasons, geopolitical reasons, we could not tap them. And while I was working in business development, we were working on these projects so as to bring gas to India through that. So these are one of the major potentials, and seeing the condition of India, maybe it is rather better to switch over to renewable rather than again going for import of natural gas, because there is perceived project of Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline, Iran, India deep sea pipeline. So all these projects I worked while I was there in business development. So now in view of the rising consumption in the current scenario of indigenous production, the biogas option of consuming solo biogas or mixing with natural gas is very much desired to reach up to the level of 450 to 500 million standard cubic meter. And why? This is getting derived from that 15%. So it was targeted to by 2030 will reach to that figure. Suppose even if we don't reach by that date, maybe within a year's time we should reach by that. So the available infrastructure in the country so as to import the gas. Now there are two things. One is indigenous gas production, which from oil wells and oil wells are not exactly same as gas wells. It is like oil wells may not be exactly having same composition as that of. There is concept like wherever oil is there, associated gas is there. Wherever gas is there, associated or slipover of oil can be there. So the gas may be saturated with oil. So this is also in line with the strategy of fuel security and sustainability of coexistence of various other options such as hydrogen and EVs. My organization has already started producing hydrogen, and like we may claim to be pioneers in injecting hydrogen to the existing natural gas network system, because that network belongs to us. So producing hydrogen is not all that big thing, or maybe it's big because once you scale up, it is big thing. But whatever little size, 10 megawatt electrolyzer, we are producing hydrogen and trying to inject in some of the city gas distribution. So what will happen when it goes to the city gas distribution? I'm slightly deviating from the green one, but just to make a perspective, because all fellow colleagues, panelists, they are very much expert in renewable. So I just wanted to set the context, because once it gets transition from normal natural gas to green, you will be in a better position to appreciate their perspective or what they are doing. So one thing is that hydrogen we are doing. So now, so as to translate it to 500 MMSCMD, we need more infrastructure. So one is indigenous production, obviously for which infrastructure will be there so as to produce that. If we require so as to import LNG, the existing infrastructure needs to be doubled, which requires a regasification terminal. So as to import LNG from a remote location, which is carried at a temperature of, say, minus 160-degree temperature is there. So what property LNG uses is that each cubic meter of LNG, it gets to, when it gets warmer, when it is at minus 160 temperature, say for example it is 1 cubic meter only as liquid. The moment it gets regasified, it becomes 592 times of that. So this feature gets utilized so as to bring gas from far remote location, like we are bringing gas from US to India at Dabhol terminal and regasifying there so as to cater to the requirement of the country through Dabhol-Bangalore pipeline. So that is how the entire energy scenario of the country looks like. I will also show the previous slide, what was, written there. So smart green mobility will require all these things. Not only that the fuel is smart or the fuel is green, integrate renewable and alternative fuels. So that is how we are saying not exactly that all green should be there, nothing else. Smart infrastructure and digital technologies ensure safe and accessible and sustainable movement so as to minimize the environmental impact. This is all known to you, it's not nothing new in that. This you are already aware because coal, oil and natural gas, how they pollute. And that is the reason natural gas, one of the benign fuels. So if we go right of that table, obviously the next will be green to the extent that hydrogen is a gray hydrogen and blue hydrogen and something like pink hydrogen. And the one real one, which is green hydrogen, which is not emitting any CO2. Okay, so seeing this, we have to get the infrastructure in terms of getting more import so as to cater to the requirement. Now coming to CNG, LNG and electric vehicle. The comparison looks like this. So range per full truck charge, so it is 250 to 300 kilometer. LNG 600, long haul trucks 600 to 800 kilometers. So normally a ship, LNG ship brings around 1,38,000 cubic meter of gas, 1,38,000 cubic meter of gas. And a plant which runs, say for example, Dabhol, it is 5 MMTPA. So what exactly is 5 MMTPA? 5 million tons per annum, it is in mass. Once you convert it to volumetric flow, just multiply it by 3.8. So roughly it will be to the tune of 18 MMSCMD of gas. So one regasification terminal will fetch you 18 MMSCMD gas. So normally 10 terminals of that big size will be required so as to reach to the level of 200 MMSCMD. Okay, so India's capacity in terms of regasification is quite good, but many of the terminals are underutilized. So that is one of the reasons we are having margin so as to bring more gas for by importing from other countries. So immediately there is no such problem of not having infrastructure in terms of the import. Now refueling, recharging time 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, EV 1 to 2 hours. Infrastructure availability well developed for CNG, growing for CBG, limited but expanding on highways. So this is long haul trucks, which you might have heard about, the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor kind of thing, where trucks will be plying on LNG. Now the same boil of gas concept, because once the LNG is kept in minus 160, because of the heat pickup from surrounding, it will try to evaporate, whatever good perfect insulation it can be. So similar is the case for when the LNG is kept in ship or kept in land side, shore side storage, or if it is kept in long haul trucks. So that boil of gas will be continuously getting generated, and that is how these trucks are required to be rapidly moving from one place to other so as to consume that much of energy. And whatever BOG is getting consumed has to be immediate, whatever is getting produced has to be consumed immediately so that it does not exert pressure on the tank, because otherwise pressure is very feeble pressure, like 80 millibar pressure or something like that is there. In case it is not removed from there, obviously the pressure will be high. Capex for vehicles is like this. Carbon emission in terms of percentage, suitability for long haul, moderate for CNG and CBG, because the calorific value will be lesser, because most of the CBG will be 90% of methane, whereas LNG it will be 96%, 98%, something like that, because here in CBG it will be some 10% of impurity of carbon dioxide can be there. Then government initiative Satat is there for CBG, and energy security benefits are there. CBG boosts rural economy and reduces waste. So one important thing which I just wanted to share here, and while I had discussion with Shri Praveer Agrawal, this is one of the important points which we discussed, and he said that please share this, because this will slightly change the perspective of thinking in that direction. So most of the time when organic waste is getting decayed naturally, So we are hardly bothered, because something like leaf from the trees are just decaying. You can't help it, you can't control it. Or some organic material is getting decayed, so we can't help it. So there was a study by Terry which said, and why earlier I used to be a critic, I should say critic of the CBG kind of thing, though it still remains my business as GAIL's business. But why I was critic, and if any of you are having the technology in terms of producing the biogas, my apprehension was relating to the yield of methane, and which obviously derives from Methanococcus bacteria. So my apprehension was that unless you get a proper technology developed, because this, as you may be knowing, that this is one of the oldest technology, and Khadi and Village Industries Commission made this biogas plant. Earlier models were Ganesh model or something. During my BTech, I did dissertation on that, and that is how this subject was close to my heart. And when I saw so many upcoming businesses in CBG, I just wanted to make sure that the yield or efficiency of that process should be properly established. So that is how I was not something like, I was evaluating it critically, so as to understand that the technology has already improved so as to set up the new plants, and which I feel like it is already there. And that is how even GAIL is having CBG plant at Ranchi, and maybe India is having 114 or something number of plants, and some 250 number of outlets from where CBG injection is being done. So this is the slide on which I wanted to make emphasis. The reason I said the decay of leaves and organic material. Whenever this kind of decay takes place, we feel like it's none of my concern. Is just happening naturally. I can't help it. Now the thing is that methane is 25 times more potent than CO2 in causing global warming. Are you aware of this? Those who might have read recent days might be aware of this. So now what is global warming potential? Because the heat trapped by CO2 molecule, say it is, the potential is 1. Suppose 1 Newton force kind of thing, unity. So the methane will be creating a trap of 25 times of that. So if you are allowing methane to the organic material to decay and let it go to the atmosphere, obviously that methane gets is not getting captured, and that is how it is getting liberated to the atmosphere. Now here is the point, what we can do in terms of capturing that organic material so as put it to proper use, and by whatever method, by using it and upflow anaerobic sludge digester or something like that, we have to, because one other problem which comes in, those who are environmental engineers, those who are working on that, they will appreciate this, that while we burn natural gas, why it burns so efficiently? Because it has kind of molecular level. So each molecule is at a distance, and that is the reason solid fuels do not burn so efficiently. Coal or maybe oil, or maybe also an oil, and these are then put to kind of particle size so that proper combustion takes place. But same is not the case for natural gas, because at relatively lower pressure, when it comes to the burner tip, you all have observed, it gets combusted fully. May it be connection of our subsidiary company, IGL, Mahanagar Gas, all city gas distribution companies, those who are supplying. So that gets burned completely, and that is the reason there is no wastage kind of thing. Now while making the organic material decay, that is one of the limitations, that you have to mix it properly so that organic decay takes place in a very efficient manner, yielding the CBG, and which GAIL has done, and we are injecting that CBG to the network. I just wanted to make it very, because this was one of the important observations based on which subsequent strategies can be devised so as to make good use of the organic material which is there, and we will also be concerned in terms of using that for the benefit of the country. Thank you so much. So, yeah, that graph is showing so I'll not go in the details of what sustainable goals we will achieve. So CBG, CGD synchronization is one of the areas wherein we all can work so that CBG getting produced can be injected to the natural gas network. Thank you.